So right now, not churning out as many videos as I'd like because I'm stuck in with marking student coursework. It's the worst bit of the job. Never used to be, shouldn't be. Why I'm negative about positive psychology. Back to the story, because I've got a story to tell. So I've got some top tips on writing the report. If you are studying an undergraduate degree in psychology, I urge you to think critically. It helps people like me stop doing stupid things. It never used to be, because we never used to have so many students in higher education. Not complaining. I think it's great we've got so many students. So many people now get access to university who never before got access to it. That's the good thing. But the bad thing is that they never really increase the staff levels. So we just have bigger and bigger class sizes, and you end up having to assess more and more students. And we don't get any more time really to assess. But I think the thing behind it is that it should be the best bit of the job. And for me, used to be the best bit of the job. It's the bit of the job where you actually hear what students think. You get to understand what they've learned from the unit. And if assessments are in the form of essays, you get to see their thinking, which is fantastic. You don't get that opportunity to talk in depth one-to-one with students. But when you've got assessments where students are giving you their thoughts about the topic, you're kind of almost in that one-to-one conversation. The problem is it's not much of a conversation. You get to see the student's thoughts, but the student doesn't get much of your thinking in relation to what you think of the assessment. It's because we have so little time to give feedback to students. It's extraordinary. I've been in some universities where your marking rate is calculated at about 10 minutes a script, so that's a 1,500 word or 2,000 word essay, and you got 10 minutes to read it, mark it, give feedback on it. Now, if you manage to actually read it in 10 minutes and actually come up with an idea of what the grade is, you've got no time to give feedback, written comments to the student, other than really shorthand ones. You don't get the chance to give much feedback. And it's such a missed opportunity. It's such an important part of the learning process. People getting feedback on the progress with their learning. And it's infuriating. To be honest, I find it infuriating. And universities are constantly talking about improving the quality of learning and teaching. I think it could start off by giving academics more time to mark work. And of course, academics always want more money for doing less. Every occupation largely wants that, I think. Distracted. I think it's falling out of the trees. Yeah, we want more for doing less. But there's a real argument here, because we are really not given any time to give feedback to students. So allocate academic staff more time to mark work, and then look at the feedback that academic staff are given to students on assessed work. And if the feedback is poor, then you can go to the academic, go to someone like me and say, look, you need to up your game, you need to write more, you need to give more feedback to the student. And if I've got the time to do it, I've been given the time to do it, then I've got to do it. At the minute, if someone says to me, your feedback's inadequate, you're not giving enough feedback to students, I reply, I've got no time, you're giving me no time, and that's the end of the argument. So such an important thing, giving feedback on people's work. And it bugs me. It bugs me so much. But tell you, there's something else that bugs me. So the other thing that bugs me is normative marking. It's something that used to happen in the past and not supposed to happen anymore. But it's still there. The residue of that approach is still there. Normative marking means basically that you distribute your students' grades along a bell curve. That bell curve where there's not many people who get top marks, not many people who fail, and most people are somewhere in the middle, That normative distribution of marks. It's built on this idea that in nature, most things are normally distributed. So something like intelligence would be normally distributed because intelligence is natural. That's a fallacious argument because intelligence is a social construct. It's not a physical thing. It's an inference we make on people's performance on intelligence tests. But nonetheless, we have this idea that intelligence is normally distributed. Now here's the problem. The criticism that actually intelligence isn't normally distributed. Put that aside and say, okay, maybe it is. But we're in education, so you wouldn't expect our grades from our units to be normally distributed. You would hope that we would have an effect on our students, and you'd hope that would be a positive effect, so you'd hope there'd be a skew. That if people come into the unit and their intelligence in relation to the content of your unit is a normal distribution, then you would expect, if you're a good teacher and you've got good resources and good support services and so on, good facilities, that students will improve, they will learn, in which case you would get a distribution which is pushed over to the positive marks. You know, more students getting the higher marks. Now here's the thing. When you go to exam boards, and this has happened in so many universities that I've worked in, and I've also been an external examiner for a lot of universities where I go and just check on the quality of the marking that happens at universities. In so many of these universities, what you see is exam boards asking questions when they see a unit that has results that are not normally distributed, that are skewed, particularly those that are skewed towards higher marks. So if you get a unit and a lot of people are getting really good marks on the unit, that unit comes under question, comes under scrutiny. And the government also puts these things under scrutiny because there's a suspicion that we're inflating marks. Or there's a suspicion that our assessments are too easy. And it's absolutely bonkers. You know, okay, those are legitimate concerns, but the primary response should be, well, that's what we would normally expect in a teaching environment, that people will be improving, their learning should be improving if we're good at what we do. But no, those units are questioned and often go through a greater degree of scrutiny. And those units where there's a normal distribution largely go unmentioned. They're seen, yeah, that's kind of what we'd expect. You know, not a lot of people at the top, not a lot of people at the bottom, most people sitting somewhere in the middle, you know? But that's the least thing we should expect, unless we're just not turning up for classes. You know, if our teaching is having no impact on people at all, then you'd expect to see that normal distribution of grades. But those normal distribution of grades largely go uninterrogated. You know, they're seen as, oh, yep, things are going okay on that unit, that's what we would expect to see. There you go. That's the other thing that bugs me. I'll be finished my marking soon. Hopefully I won't have a normal distribution. I'll have a distribution that's skewed positively, and it will be a sign that I have fantastic students, but what the hell? That I'm a brilliant teacher. Of course I am. Anyway, till next time, ta-da.